So, could a woman twice elected Prime Minister of Pakistan be on the brink of a return to power after more than a decade in exile? Let's go live to Leeds, where we can talk to Benazir Bhutto herself. A very good morning to you. So, you met President Musharraf on Friday. How did the talks go?
I'm not in a position to say whether I met with General Musharraf, but I can tell you that both sides have been engaged in finding a way which could lead to a restoration of democracy through the holding of fair, free and impartial elections, as well as to the creation of a parliament that has some powers to deal with some of the pressing issues of Pakistan.
Well, a minister in the Pakistani government's already said you did meet on Friday, so we'll assume it did happen. Didn't he previously say that you'd be arrested if you went back to Pakistan?
Well, in Pakistan, many developments have taken place. We are trying to work out an arrangement for the restoration of democracy through the holding of fair elections. We've had a lawyers' movement which has led to the restoration of the Chief Justice of Pakistan to his post and the independence of the judiciary. The PPP is taking some of its issues pertaining to the electoral lists to the Supreme Court of Pakistan. So we believe the way the country is moving forward holds out the promise of an opportunity for the restoration of democracy and dealing with issues like terrorism and violence, which have grown in the last few years. But we are not there yet.
No, that's for sure. I mean, would you like to be Prime Minister again?
If the people of Pakistan vote for me, certainly I would like to take on that job. But this is more than a struggle for me. This is a struggle for the heart and soul of Pakistan. We stand at the crossroads, and very critical choices have to be made between the forces of the past and the forces of the future. There is militancy, terrorism and violence. My government and I have had the experience of dealing with it. If we could get another opportunity, I would certainly take the challenge.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers, and we heard Imran Khan there a couple of minutes ago, are wondering why you, a staunch defender of secular democracy in Pakistan, would want to work with a man who's there because of a military coup.
I have very grave reservations about a uniformed president, and I believe it blurs the distinction between civilian and military role. And so, unlike Mr. Khan, I did not support General Musharraf when he sought to be elected a president in uniform during a referendum in the past. But right now, I think it's very important to deal with who's there, and he's the person there. And if we can find a way to get the uniformed presidency out of the picture, we can find a way to get democracy back, to deal with the issues of poverty and backwardness, that really, if tackled, can undermine the forces of extremism. I think we will be looking forward. But as I said earlier, we are not there yet.
Well, let's just nail one thing straight away then. You would not enter any kind of power-sharing deal with General Musharraf as long as he was still head of the army.
That's right. I think the post of the army chief must be separated from that of the president. I know that there are many other professional soldiers who devote all their lives, and each one wants to reach the top. And in any event, for a professional army, I think it's important to make that distinction between the Chief of Army Staff and the President.
How do you think he dealt with all the trouble in the Red Mosque?
Well, I think finally I was pleased that the policy of appeasement was not followed. But I do think that the damage that was done could have been mitigated if the matter had been tackled in January rather than July of this year. It was in January that the militants seized the children's library that belonged to the government. They kidnapped policemen, but no action was taken against them. Instead, cabinet ministers came out and started negotiating with them. And that's the problem. In Pakistan, there's no certainty of when a person will be punished for a particular act. So militants feel that sometimes they get away with taking a children's library, and then there's outrage when they find that they can't get away with holding the whole capital hostage. So I think we need a certain consistency and certainty of law, that every citizen must know that if they take up guns, well, then there'll be an action against them.
You know, the people holding that mosque were pro-Taliban. I should point out that when you were in power, you gave financial and military help to the Taliban. In fact, you sent Pakistani troops into Afghanistan.
Well, that's the past, and whatever happened then, I think supporting the Taliban was a mistake, but we never sent Pakistani troops there. But in any event, that's the past, and it was a mistake. We supported the Taliban thinking that they could bring peace to vote on Afghanistan, and that was a huge error. But there was no Al-Qaeda then. There was no war against the West then. And now what we witnessed is that the Taliban went on to become the hosts for Al-Qaeda, and now the pro-Taliban forces are trying to take control in Pakistan, and they have ties to Al-Qaeda. After all, when the Red Mosque incident took place, Al-Qaeda's number 2 was the first to swear revenge against those who had ordered the attack on the Red Mosque. So there is a link between Taliban and Al-Qaeda that we were unaware of in the past, and I think that both Al-Qaeda and Taliban are very dangerous.
Just on a personal level, Benazir Bhutto, why do you want to go back into Pakistani politics, given the price you've had to pay already in your life?
Well, it's my country, and I feel that my country is threatened. In Iran, we had a revolution, and I saw how the middle classes fled from there and became exiles in different countries, including England and America. And then we had the Soviets going into Afghanistan, and there were 3 million refugees who sought refuge in Pakistan. I don't want the people of Pakistan to face terror at the hands of the Taliban and their allies in Al-Qaeda and become refugees in foreign lands. I want to try and save my country if I can.
Just one small thing. Doesn't the Pakistan constitution say you can't be Prime Minister for a third time?
That's right. General Musharraf passed an amendment banning a twice-elected Prime Minister from seeking office a third time, and this is an issue which is part of the discussions between us.
So the only way you could be Prime Minister for a third time is if a man who's leading the country as a result of a military coup changed the constitution?
Yes, if we could revive the constitution, and the constitution could go back to what it was before the man who did the military coup took over. And if he doesn't bring the change, if the people of Pakistan, through their elected representatives, wish to lift that ban, they certainly can. Former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and I have come to an understanding that we would lift this ban. And of course, there's the Supreme Court, which offers us hope too. So now there are different avenues that can be followed, but the absolute important goal is to empower the people of Pakistan, to make them the stakeholders in their own country so that they can come forward and fight the forces of militancy.
Benazir Bhutto, just before we go, one last question. There are many people, I was talking to friends in Islamabad yesterday, who really believe that the army and politics in Pakistan are the same. No politician can really govern the country without the army effectively pulling the strings.
I know there are many people who say that in Pakistan, but I'm a person who would like to see ultimately the detachment of the army from politics. That's what happens in other countries of the world, and that's how they prosper. And I hope that one day we can get there.
What are the chances of you standing in that election, by the way?
Well, I think the chances right now are pretty good. I think it's about 90% out of 100 for me to stand in those elections, but there's many a cup between the lip. I mean, there's many a slip between the cup and the lip, so I'm not going to count any chickens till they're hatched.
Okay. On that note, Benazir Bhutto, grateful for your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.